Welcome to Life Lessons from Srimad Bhagavatam, where each week, twice a week, we discuss a section of the Bhagavatam and consider lessons that we can apply in life. Today, we continue with the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, chapter 47, which we begun in our previous discussion. So we're continuing that chapter today, and it's concerning Uddhava and the Braja gopīs. So it's the most wonderful section. If somebody who's listening can confirm that the microphone is working, I would be grateful. I had some trouble as I started streaming with sound. So if you're here watching, just confirm for me that you can actually hear, that the sound is coming through. I would be most grateful. Working, says Jan. Thank you so much, Jan. Most grateful. That's excellent news. Okay, well, thanks for being here, Jan. We are continuing with the 10th canto of the Bhagavatam, chapter 47. We'll be discussing Uddhava's message to the gopīs of Vrindavan, a message of love conveyed on Krishna's behalf. Krishna is in Mathura. He has gone there, killed Kamsa. He's released his grandfather, Ugrasena Maharaj, re-established him on the throne of the Yadus. He has freed his parents, Vasudeva and Devaki, who were also imprisoned by Krishna's uncle, evil uncle, Kamsa. And after that, he has not returned to Vrindavan, but stayed in Mathura to protect Mathura from further attacks that would be coming. He's also gone to Gurukul, where he studied in the school of Sandipani Muni. And while engaged in all these activities, he's feeling great pain in his heart. He's missing the residents of Vrindavan. And so he sent Uddhava to Sri Vrindavan Dham with a message, and it is a message that we'll be discussing today. Welcome, Nikunja. Thanks for being with us. Nikunja joining us from Auckland, New Zealand, says, Hare Krishna Prabhu, I'm at work, so Danika will not be able to join in. Thanks for letting me know. Thanks for joining from work. That's amazing if you're able to do that. If your work don't mind, you're tuning in for a lecture while at work, then that's great. I know it's 9 a.m. in New Zealand, so it is working hours. And yeah, we're just happy that you can be here and others as well. So I guess we'll get started. Welcome everyone again to Life Lessons from Srimad Bhagavatam. Today, Canto 10, Chapter 47, verses 22 to 69. Our topic, Uddhava delivers Krishna's message and offers prayers. This is based on verses 22 to 69 of this chapter. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. We are discussing Krishna's message to the gopīs of Vrindavan. Krishna living in Mathura, the gopīs in Vraja. There's this separation between them. And it is a painful separation from both sides. The gopīs have been eagerly waiting news of Krishna. You may have experienced this. You're separated from someone you love and you're waiting for a letter from them. You're waiting to hear some news. And you might even become quite desperate in the days of snail mail. then lots of time was separating. These days, we can connect more easily with email and text messages and other social media. So, in this time, it is a hand delivered message, not even one that's written, but not even, hand delivered, but a voice delivered message. Uddhava has heard Krishna's heart expressed through words, and then Uddhava has come to Vrindavan to convey those words to the gopis. So we'll discuss this under three headings. One, Krishna's message based on verses 22 to 37. Two, the gopis' response based on verses 38 to 52. And three, Uddhava's prayers based on verses 53 to 69. So let's begin unpacking this. Sukadev Goswami said, after having heard Radharani's song to the bee, Uddhava, he is moved by Radha's devotion, by her love, by the intensity of their feelings for Krishna, and he tries to pacify the gopis. And he does so by conveying Krishna's message to them. And so he first addresses the gopis. He says, certainly you gopis are all successful. You are worshipped universally because you have dedicated your minds to Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Generally, devotional service is achieved by austerities and strict vows and charity and fire sacrifices and by japa and by Vedic studies and observances of different principles. Not that bhakti is directly achieved by these acts, but one can get some sukriti, which then provides an opportunity where one might express appreciation to devotees, and then the seed of bhakti may be given. And so Uddhava's point is that bhakti is very, very rare and difficult to achieve. But he says, but you gopis, by your great fortune, you are the unexcelled standard of bhakti to Krishna, a standard that even sages can hardly attain. And then he talks about their sacrifice. He says, you left your husbands and your children and your bodily comfort and your other relatives and your homes, everything in favor of Krishna. And so it is, you have rightly claimed the privilege of unalloyed, pure love for Krishna. He addresses them as most glorious. He said, by exhibiting your love for Krishna in separation, you have shown me great mercy. Uddhava is very learned. He's very wise. He's trained by Brihaspati himself, the guru of the demigods. He says, I'm learning from you, village ladies, village gopikas, cowherd girls. He says, my good ladies, please hear from me the message of your beloved, which I, his confidential servant, have come here to deliver to you. So I think we are all now full of anticipation, wanting to know what was that message that Krishna expressed? What did Krishna say to the gopis? And so with this anticipation and eagerness, let us hear Krishna's message. He said, you are never actually separated from me, dear gopis, because I am the soul of all creation. Just as the elements of nature, ether, air, fire, water, and earth are all present in every created thing, in the same way, Krishna says, I am present in everyone's heart, in everyone's mind, in everyone's life air, in everyone's senses, also in the physical elements. It's not possible to be separate from me. I create, sustain, and withdraw the worlds into me. This entire universe is pervaded by me. And then he talks about different levels of consciousness. He says, just as a person who is the soul, he says, the soul can be in different states of consciousness. It can be either awake, asleep, or in deep sleep. And someone who wakes up from deep sleep, they may actually continue to be in a dream, like a daydream. And so uh, he says that most people, they're in this daydream. He says, therefore, you should wake up and be aware. Wake up from the dream and be aware that I'm present everywhere. I am available to you at all times. Don't feel separation from me. He says the ultimate conclusion of the Vedas and of yoga and of Sankhya and of renunciation is me. And therefore, you don't need to feel the sadness of separation. Uh, then he offers a different angle. He says that the actual reason why I, the beloved object of your sight, have stayed away from you is that I want to intensify your meditation on me and draw your minds closer to me. When the lover is far away, then the beloved will think of them more intensely than when they are present before them. And so, because your minds are totally absorbed in me and free from other engagement, then if you just uh, fully engage yourself and accept that, you'll, you'll always feel my presence. And then he gives an example. He says, during the rasa dance, some gopis were not able to leave. And so they were not able to leave their homes. They were kept back by their family members. He says, but they nonetheless were fortunate. They were able to join me in the rasa dance. They were able to experience my company. They attained me by thinking of me. So, very wise Uddhava has delivered Krishna's quite philosophical message to the gopis. How do you think this message lands with them? How do you think it's received by the gopis? Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur analyzes Krishna's message. He actually sees it as being in three parts. Verses 22 to 34, he sees are about Brahmagyana, knowledge of the Supreme and the presence of the Supreme everywhere in all things and all beings. And then verses 35 to 36, Krishna's talking about meditation. And then verses 37 to 38, he's talking about experiencing Krishna's presence, even though there might be an apparent separation. So that's Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's analysis of this message, three parts. But he also tells us how the gopis are feeling as they hear this message and how this message is landing with them. And so this is the revelation of Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur to the first message, that recognize that I'm present everywhere. You're never separate from me. The gopis, their feeling in response to this is, Uddhava, this news that you have brought from Krishna has doubled our pain. You have brought this burden of Brahmagyan this far, but who's going to buy it here in Braja? Can we gopis, who from birth have been drinking the nectar of Krishna's beauty, now drink the bitter neem sap of Brahmagyan? The bitter neem is very bitter. So bitter neem sap. In Gurukul, when I was in India, in Manipur, one of the cures or the protections for mosquito bites is to eat neem leaves. It makes they said, the locals said, it makes the blood bitter, and the mosquitoes won't want to bite you anymore. So the gopis, they compare this message of Brahmagyan to bitter neem sap. They say, it's better that the women of this place give up their lives if only such an abominable thing is available as food. Better they die of starvation if this is all that is available as food. Now just listen. This Brahmagyan, which is found in the leaf huts of the hearts of saintly physicians, is the medicinal herb that can certainly cure the disease of material existence. Said, okay, this Brahmagyan has its place. It's a medicine. Medicine often is not very tasty. It's a medicine that can cure the disease of material existence. But don't try to give that medicine to us, because our disease is not material existence. Our disease is called Krishna prema, love for Krishna. So they say, after learning the science of medicine from Sandipani Muni, Krishna has taught it to you, Uddhava, and he sent you here with this distasteful herbal cure to relieve us of the fever of prema. They say, you can now be our messenger, Uddhava, and take the medicine back to its sender. Drinking it, Krishna will extinguish his fever of prema for us and make sure that no trace of it remains. As for us, may our great fever of prema of love remain for 100 births. Okay, that's Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's revelation of how the gopis are feeling in relation to the first message. The second one was about meditation. And so Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur tells us that Krishna is saying, you gopis are very attractive to my eyes, and since you are now far from my eyes, please remain in my mind. The mind is closer. It is the mind and the heart is more important than the eyes. Thus, it is deduced that an object of attraction is far from the mind when it is in the vicinity of the eyes, and near to the mind when it is far from the eyes. Of the two, the mind is more important. Therefore, I desire that you remain close to my mind. May that be your desire as well. How does this land with the gopis? They say, oh, Uddhava, this message you should also keep in the treasure box of your heart. This message is unacceptable to us gopis of Vrindavan. Previously, when Krishna was here, he was visible to our eyes and then was absent for a moment, and that moment was like 100 yugas. During each minute of that period of absence, we gopis would have drawn Krishna into our minds with 1,000-fold feelings of separation. So, another rejection from the gopis. The last message was that you can experience Krishna's presence internally. Krishna is giving the example of those gopis during the Rasa dance who weren't able to join. They were able to join in the eternal lila, in the eternal pastime. So, how the gopis respond? So the gopis, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur tells us that those gopis who did experience this during the Rasa dance, they affirm it is true. This was our experience. But the other gopis are not happy. They will accept nothing less than what? Use your, you can meditate and try to understand what will the gopis accept. They're rejecting these ideas that Krishna is present everywhere, that Krishna can be in our minds through meditation, and then through intense meditation we'll experience his presence. What would be acceptable to the gopis? They want nothing less than Krishna's presence. They want to see him, to feel him, to smell him, to hear him. They want him with them. And all these other ideas for them are unacceptable. And so the lesson for you and I is that the gopis are teaching us not to be distracted by jnana, not to be distracted by mukti, not to be distracted by aishvarya, that is attachment to Krishna's opulence in Vaikuntha, or even to his opulent manifestations in Dvaraka or even Mathura. We must keep our hearts set on the treasure offered by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and our acharyas, and that is the treasure of Vraja Prema Bhakti, love for Krishna in the mood of the residents of Vrindavan. Let's go to the second topic then, the gopis' response. We've been hearing from Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur their internal responses, but Sukadeva Goswami is now telling us how the gopis respond. Sukadeva Goswami says, this is verses 38 to 52. He says that women of Braja were pleased to hear this message from their dearmost Krishna. His words having revived their memory, they addressed Uddhava as follows. Sukadeva Goswami says they're pleased. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says, no, that was the gopis who met Krishna during the rasa dance after they were obstructed by their families and were unable to leave. They experienced his presence nonetheless in a transcendental way, because they were pleased. In general, the gopis are not pleased, and this will become clear as we hear the gopis' response. You hear, after all that Krishna has said and Uddhava has said, what? They have one track, and you'll hear what that one track is. The gopis said, it is very good that Krishna, the enemy and persecutor of the Yadus, has now been, sorry, sorry. It is very good that Kamsa, the enemy and persecutor of the Yadus, has now been killed along with his followers. And it is also good that Krishna is living happily in the company of his well-wishing friends and relatives, whose every desire is now fulfilled. Gentle Uddhava, is Krishna now bestowing the women of Mathura the pleasure that actually belongs to us? We suppose those ladies worship him with generous glances full of affectionate, shy smiles. Krishna is expert in all kinds of conjugal affairs and is the darling of the women of Mathura. How can he not become entangled now that he's constantly adored by their enchanting words and gestures? But does Govinda remember us during his conversation with the mature woman? Does he ever mention us village girls as he freely talks to them? Does he recall our pastimes of Vrindavan forest, lovely with lotus, jasmine flowers, lotus and jasmine flowers and the bright moon? As we glorified his charming pastimes, he enjoyed with us his beloved girlfriends in the circle of the rasa dance, which resounded with music of our tinkling ankle bells. Will Krishna ever return here and by the touch of his limbs bring back to life those who are now burning with grief, grief that he himself has caused? Will he save us in that way, just as Indra brings back a forest to life with water-bearing clouds? But why should Krishna come here after winning a kingdom, killing his enemies, and marrying the daughters of kings? He's satisfied there, surrounded by all his friends and well-wishers. That great soul, Krishna, Lord of the goddess of fortune, he automatically achieves whatever he desires. How can we, forest dwellers, or any other women fulfill his purposes when he's already Atmarama, self-satisfied? Who can bear to give up talks, intimate talks with Krishna? Although he shows no interest in her, goddess Lakshmi never moves from her place on his chest. Dear Uddhava Prabhu, when Krishna was here in the company of Balaram, he enjoyed all these rivers and hills and forests and cows and flute sounds. All these remind us constantly of him. Indeed, because we see Krishna's footprints, which are marked with divine symbols, we can never forget him. Oh Uddhava, how can we forget him when our hearts have been stolen away by the charming way that he walks, his generous smile and playful glances, and his honey-like words? Finally, we conclude this section with a beautiful prayer, verse 52 of this 47th chapter of the 10th canto. Hey Nata, hey Ramanata, Brajanati, Natarti Nashana, Magnam Uddhara Govinda, Gokulam Brij, Brijinarnavat, they say to Krishna. O Master, O Master of the goddess of fortune, O Master of Raja, O Destroyer of all suffering, Govinda, please lift Gokula out of the ocean of distress in which it is now drowning. So we see from this response, the pausing here now. we see that the gopis will accept nothing but Krishna's presence. No jnana, no meditation, nothing else will satisfy them. And finally, in their desperation, by turning to Krishna directly and calling out, their feelings have become so strong that they disregard Uddhava and turn towards Mathura, and they call out to Krishna in a most pitiful voice, "Oh Krishna, you attract our minds even though we are unworthy. O Lord of Lakshmi, Ramanatha, we are also in need of being mastered. O great reservoir of amazing sweetness and tasteful loving reciprocations, we are begging for even, which are begged for even by Lakshmi, not Yamana. O Master of Vraja, Vrajanatha, Vraja needs your shelter. O remover of suffering, Aditi Nashana. In the past, you performed many inconceivable pastimes to protect us, such as lifting Govardhan Hill to free us from the distress caused by Indra. Now we are in an ocean of the most intense suffering, the Jrinna Arnavat, caused by separation from you. Please come of your own accord and save Gokula, which will be destroyed either today or tomorrow. O Govinda, come, resume your duties of protecting cows and supervising their grazing. Enough with this sending messengers. So this prayer of desperation, it reflects the intensity of the gopis' love. As Uddhava will conclude now, no one loves Krishna like the gopis, and therefore Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he prayed, Gopir Bhatur Padakamalayur Dasa Dasa Anudasa. Let me be the servant of the servant of the servant of the lover of the gopis, Krishna. He wants to be this the servant of Krishna who loves the gopis, Krishna who is being adored by the gopis, or who is enjoying pastimes with the gopis. To be their servant of the servant of the servant means to be the servant of the gopis themselves. That is our line that we learn from Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and so that too should be our aspiration. Gopir Bhatur Pada Kamalayur. That should be our identity. Naham Vipra, Naham Nyasi. He says, I'm not a Brahmana, I'm not a sannyasi, I'm not any varna or ashram designation, I'm not uh, any other identity that might be ascribed to me based on Vedic law or material conditioning. Who am I? I am the servant of the servant, servant of the lover of the gopis. Okay, a third section. This is Uddhava's response now, Uddhava's prayer, based on verses 53 to 69. Sukadeva Goswami tells us, Lord Krishna's messages having relieved their fever of separation, the gopis then worshipped Uddhava, recognizing him to be non-different from their Lord Krishna. Uddhava remained there in Braja for several months, dispelling the gopis' sorrow by chanting the topics of Krishna's pastime. Thus he brought joy to all of Gokula. All the days that Uddhava dwelled in Nanda's cowherd village seemed like a single moment to the residents of Braja, for Uddhava was always talking about Krishna. That servant of Lord Haridasa, seeing the rivers, forests, mountains, and valleys, and flowering trees of Braja, enjoyed inspiring the inhabitants of Vrindavan by reminding them of Krishna. Thus seeing how the gopis were always disturbed because of their total absorption in Krishna, Uddhava was supremely pleased. Desiring to offer them all respect, he sang as follows. So now we have an Uddhava Gita, not the one that is the 11th canto of the Bhagavatam, but this Uddhava Gita that is verses 60 through to 62, I believe, of the um, 47th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam. So here's Uddhava's song. Among all persons on earth, these cowherd women alone have actually perfected their embodied lives. And they have achieved the perfection of unalloyed love for Govinda. Their pure love is hankered after by those who fear material existence, by great sages, and by ourselves as well, Uddhava, including himself. For one who has tasted the narrations of the infinite Lord, what is the use of taking birth as a high-class brahmana, or even as Lord Brahma himself? Such high regard he has for the gopis. How amazing that these simple women who wander about the forest, seemingly spoiled by improper behavior, have achieved the perfection of unalloyed love for Krishna, the Supreme Soul. Still, it is true that the Supreme Lord himself awards his blessings even to an ignorant worshipper, just as the best of medicine works even when taken by a person ignorant of its ingredients. So I would like to sing or chant this next verse, 10:47:61. Nayam Sriyonga Unit Unitantarate Prasada Svaryoshitam Nalinagandarucham Kutonya Rosatsavesya Bhujadanda Grihita Kanta Nabdasi Sam Yapugadad Vrajavala Most wonderful Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did cite this verse on different occasions. When Lord Krishna was dancing with the gopis in the Rasa Leela, the gopis were embraced by the arms of the Lord. This transcendental favor was never bestowed upon the goddess of fortune or other consorts in the spiritual world. Indeed, never was such a thing even imagined by the most beautiful girls in the heavenly planets, whose bodily luster and aroma resemble the lotus flower, and what to speak of worldly women who are very beautiful according to material estimation. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu recites this verse to establish the exalted position of the gopis even above Lakshmi, because this favor was never granted to anyone. This favor that he granted to the gopis, not even to Lakshmi, the wife of Narayana. Then, verse 62. Aham aho charanarenu jasam aham shyam vrindavane kimapi gulma lato sadinam yadushyajam svajanam arya patam tantra itva vejur mukunda paravim shruti virvigrimyam. The gopis of Vrindavan have given up the association of their husbands, sons, and other family members who are very difficult to give up, and they have forsaken the path of chastity to take shelter of the lotus feet of Mukunda, Krishna, which one should search for by Vedic knowledge. Oh, let me be fortunate enough to be one of the bushes, creepers, or herbs in Vrindavan, because the gopis trample them and bless them with the dust of their feet. Whoever considers that he would like to have the dust of the gopis' feet on his head, but they would never agree to it. And so he prays, like Brahma has prayed earlier. He wants to be born as a creeper or a blade of grass in Vrindavan, that the gopis will walk on him and will thereby get the dust of their lotus feet. He says the goddess of fortune herself, along with Lord Brahma and all other demigods, are masters of yogic perfection. They can worship the lotus feet of Krishna only within their mind. But during the rasa dance, Lord Krishna placed his feet on these gopis' breasts. And by embracing those feet, the gopis gave up all distress. Finally, I will sing this verse as well. Vande Nanda Vrajastrinam Padarenu Abhikshnasha Yasam Hari Katho Diktam Punti Bhuvanata Punati Bhuvanatrayam. He says, I repeatedly offer my respects to the dust from the feet of the gopis of Nanda Maharaj's cowherd village. When these gopis loudly chant the glories of Sri Krishna, the vibration purifies the three worlds. And so Sukadeva Goswami, he continues, he says that Uddhava, he took permission after being there for some months, permission from the gopis, and from Mati Yasoda, and from Nandan Maharaj to leave Braja. He bade farewell, and he was about to mount his chariot when Nanda Maharaj and others approached him, and they came with different items for worship. And with tears in their eyes, they spoke to Uddhava, Nanda Maharaj, and the cowherds. They said, "May our mental functions always take shelter of Krishna's lotus feet. May our words always chant his name, and may our bodies always bow down to him and serve him. Whenever we are made to wander about this world by the Supreme Lord's will, in accordance with the reactions of our fruit of work, may our good works and charity always grant us love for Krishna." Such a beautiful prayer. I should have got in the Sanskrit for that one as well. So Sukadeva Goswami concludes, he says, "O Parikshit, thus honored by the cowherd men with expressions of devotion for Krishna, Uddhava returned to the city of Mathura, which was under Krishna's protection. And after falling down at Krishna's feet to pay his obeisances, Uddhava describes to Krishna the intense devotion of the residents of Vraja. Uddhava also described it to Vasudeva, Lord Balaram, and Ugrasen, and presented them with gifts of tribute that he had brought with him from Vraja. And so some lessons that we can take here. Uddhava's prayer for service to the gopis by taking birth as a bush in Vraja and getting the dust of their feet on his head suggests to us how dear and exalted the gopis are. He said this in so many words, saying that their devotion surpasses that of Brahma and Lakshmi and any other devotee. Therefore, service in their line is our ambition, as it is the ambition of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and our acharyas, and as and that is the message and the invitation that they have given to us. We should also see that Krishna, he likes their love. He is enchanted by their love, and he likes it to be proclaimed and glorified. And it is for this reason, we see it hinted here at the very end, it is for this reason that Krishna has sent Uddhava to Braja. The pretext is delivering a message, although that's also there. He wants to alleviate the feelings of separation in the hearts of the gopis. But another purpose is that he wants Uddhava to learn Braja Prem, and he wants him, particularly that of the gopis, and he wants him to learn it from the gopis, and then he wants Uddhava to declare it to the world, which he does at the very end with his prayers, with his aspiration, and then with his return to Mathura and his revealing these treasures to Vasudeva and Ugrasena and others in Mathura. And so we see that Krishna likes the glory of the gopis to be declared loudly, for it to be proclaimed. And so we too can be dedicated to learning this message and also to sharing it when and where possible. These things are very confidential as well. And so a certain level of adhikar, a certain level of qualification must be there to hear these treasures, because most people will misunderstand. They say like casting jewels before swine. Not that we think of people as swine, but just the principle, people who can appreciate a treasure that is given to them. But where it can be appreciated, then the devotee takes great delight in sharing and discussing and meditating and conveying this gift that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also wants to share with the world. So I didn't compose a prayer due to time, but I think the prayer that we can meditate on is that prayer of Uddhava. So I'll go back and I'll read that. I'll read the Sanskrit again. This is our concluding meditation. We've discussed 3 sections. Was Krishna's message, and then the gopis' response to that, and then Uddhava's response to the gopis' response. And one of those, part of that response is this prayer that we're about to chant again. Sam aho charanare nujusam aham shyam vrindavane kimapi gulma lato sadhinam yadushtay yajam svajanamariya patam chahitva mejur mukunda paravim shutibir vimrimgyam. The gopis have given up the association of their husbands, sons, and other family members who are very difficult to give up, and they have forsaken the path of chastity to take shelter of the lotus feet of Mukunda, Krishna, which one should search for by Vedic knowledge. Oh, let me be fortunate enough to be one of the bushes, creepers, or herbs in Vrindavan, because the gopis will trample them and bless them with the dust of the lotus feet. And in fact, in Vrindavan today, by Govardhan Hill, there's a place called Uddhava Kund. It's near to Kusham Sarovar, but on the other side of the hill, Govardhan Hill. And it is said that Uddhava eternally resides there. There is a temple with his deity, but it's said that he also eternally resides there by Govardhan and Kusham Sarovar as the trees and as the grass and as the bushes, in the hope that when the gopis go to Kusham Sarovar to collect flowers, to make garlands and other flower decorations for the pleasure of Radha and Krishna, that he will be touched by their lotus feet and receive the dust of their feet on his body and thus be purified, and the prema of the gopis will awaken within him as well. So there we conclude. Let me acknowledge some of you who joined us after I started speaking, and then also if you have any questions or comments or reflections based on the class, type them into the chat and we can discuss for a few more minutes. We have, let's see, Kirtidat is with us from Norway. Kirtidat says, Dandavat. So humble obeisances being sent by Kirtidat. So glad you could join us, Kirtidat. Then we have Janavamata joining us from Dunedin in the South Island of New Zealand. Janavamata says, Gaura Bhaktavinda Ki Jai. Thank you for being with us. Janavamata, as always, as you are always for every class. Then we have Agnieszka, who says, Hari Bol. Thank you for being with us. Agnieszka, there's also a comment, so wake up, all you sleeping souls. So for those of you who don't know, there's a hidden reference there. This was, Agnieszka must have typed this as a comment where Krishna was describing 3 states of consciousness: deep sleep, sleep, and wakefulness. And so Krishna was saying how most souls, they are in deep sleep, and then those who are a little more conscious, they are in sleep. So they walk in a daydream, because we're not aware of our nature as spirit souls. Only when we become aware of our spiritual nature and of the spiritual reality, Krishna's presence in all things and beings, then we are actually awake. And so in response to that, Agnieszka has typed the lyrics of a song that I composed many years ago and used to sing with Village of Peace. So wake up, all you sleeping souls. So wake up, Lord Chaitanya calls, based on Bhaktivinoda Thakur's song, Jiv Jago, Gaura Chandra Bole. Thank you for that memory, Agnieszka. Much appreciated. That Agnieszka, is that Taralakshi? I can't see the image so well, but I'm thinking that could be Taralakshi. Okay. Wait, comments. Bring those comments back. Oh no. Okay, something dreadful just happened. I lost. I made a terrible error, and somehow with this platform, the comments have disappeared. So I'm going to try to open Facebook and continue from there, because this isn't the way we do things in this class. We always engage with your comments. Okay, so let's try to get, yeah, here we go. Turn my volume down here. Excellent. So, Agnieszka, oh no, okay, I can see you are Agnieszka. You live in Koszalin. Okay, excellent. Thank you for being here, Agnieszka. I was looking on a different platform, so I couldn't see you that well. Krishangi is with us from Sydney. Krishangi says, Hare Krishna. Thanks for being here, Krishangi. Alicia is with us from Auckland, New Zealand. Alicia says, Hare Krishna Prabhu. Hope you're safe and well. I'm at work. Nectar, mate. That is an inside joke. One of our friends, Carla, he has that as one of his catchphrases. So Agnieszka has a comment. So all the gopis, they never felt jealous. They do. Yeah, the gopis feel jealous. All emotions have their place, their rightful place, their proper place, and that's in relation to Krishna. And so jealous anger is one of the trademarks of Srimati Radharani and her sangha, or her association, her group of gopis. That jealous anger is called man, manani radha, and it is most pleasing to Krishna. When, as I mentioned in the previous class, Chaitanya Charitamrita, Krishna's Kaviraj Goswami says that when the Krishna hears the glorifications of the Vedic mantras, it is not nearly as attractive to him as when he hears the scolding and chastisement of his parents in Vrindavan, or the challenge of his friends, the cowherd boys, to a debate, not a debate, a wrestling match, or when the gopis reproach him in loving anger. So yes, they do. They feel jealousy. It's transcendental. So Janavamata is letting me know the sound is a bit muffled. I apologize for that. That's unfortunate. I do have a microphone here, but possibly I didn't get the settings right as I was setting up. So I just need to check that. It's a new platform, so I'm not fully across. Let's see. No, it should be the right microphone. Okay, but at least I can see where the settings are now. Yeah, sorry about that. And yeah, we try to improve. Kirtidas says the same thing. Sound is not that great. Yeah, apologies. Janava Mata, thank you as always for the nectar, for which we're always anxious. Krishna Katha Ki Jai. It's so lovely to hear these intimate, loving pastimes. And then is it okay in our neophyte state to long for the company of Krishna and his associates, to desire to be close and engage directly with them? So good question. And somebody has, Kirtidas also affirmed the question, saying, yes, this is a good question. Please speak to this question. Can we desire this even in our neophyte stage? Do we first have to deserve and then desire? And the answer to you is that, yes, we should desire. We need to have a clear sense of our aspiration, of our goal. We can recognize that we're not qualified, that we're not ready, that that this aspiration is beyond our level of adhikara. So we should acknowledge that, but we should also have a clear sense of our goal, that our goal is love for Krishna in the mood of the residents of Vrindavan. That's very clearly the teaching of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and of the Goswamis. So that should be our goal and aspiration. So then how is that cultivated? It's cultivated Tishtan Vraje Taranuragi Jananugami, by adoring and exalting those residents of Vrindavan, by thinking of them, by discussing their pastimes and their activities and their mood of loving service to Krishna, by reflecting on their love for Krishna, then it can be nourished in our hearts as well. That is the process that is given by our acharyas. So, yes, our acharyas are very clear on this, that even in our neophyte stage, we have this aspiration. We don't mimic it. We don't pretend that we are at that level, but aspire, absolutely. It is there for us to aspire for and to pray for. In terms of what it is, so it's service to the servant of the servant of the servant. So we're not aspiring to be a competitor to Radharani, or a rival to her or to Lalita or Vishaka. Our aspiration is to be a servant of the servant of the servant. So the maid servants of Shri Radha are the Rupa Manjari, Rati Manjari, and others. They're the Manjaris. And our acharyas, they all meditated on their service in that mood as a Manjari, as a servant of the servant of Shri Radha and her associates. And so, yeah, that can also be our aspiration. Otherwise, then what differentiates our aspiration as compared to other devotees who are cultivating service in the mood of Lakshmi? That is the Ramanuja Sampradaya. They're serving in the mood of Lakshmi. But Lord Chaitanya is highlighting these verses, this prayer of Uddhava, to say, no, we are not aspiring to the service of Lakshmi. We are aspiring to a service that is even more pleasing to Krishna. And that is to assist in the service of Sri Radha and her associates. So hopefully that's given some clarification. Thank you for the question. Such an important question. Much appreciated. Monica's with us from Sydney. Monica says, Hare Krishna Prabhu. Thank you, Monica Sharma. Yvette is with us from Sydney, says, Hari Bol. Thanks for being here, Yvette. Nikunja has shared a nice resource. So Nikunja says, thank you, Prabhu. These beautiful pastimes of Sri Uddhava have also been shared by Indradyumna Maharaj. And so there's a link there. Those who have not yet heard that pastime, you can further explore and relish this nectar by hearing Indradyumna Maharaj's description as well. Thank you for that. Thank you for sharing resources, Nikunja. And to all of you, I appreciate it when devotees share resources during these classes as well. We can just further expand our realization and appreciation and relishing of this nectar from different angles. We can become curious and enthusiastic and eager. And this eagerness is a big part of the qualification. What is the price? Lord Chaitanya says, it is that we have the eagerness to, so that we may not be qualified, but that we are eager and aspirational then the devotees, they feel inclined to be merciful and to make us qualified. Uddhava says, isn't it beautiful how Uddhava completely understood and appreciated the heartfelt word and emotions of the gopis, even though their mood was different to his? Yeah, very good. It seems he was attracted and transformed by their association. Very good. Excellent. So nice realization here from Janavamata that Uddhava, he remains in his own bhavana. He serves Krishna in Mathura. Mathuranath and Dwarkanath are whom he serves. He assists in those pastimes. And he remains a Jnana Mishra Bhakta. This comes out again in the 11th canto of the Bhagavatam, when Krishna's teaching Uddhava. That's the content of the 11th canto. It's quite philosophical and quite, we would say, jnana oriented. And Uddhava has many questions. He's like really curious about these philosophical questions. And yet he's able to appreciate the exalted position of the gopis. So despite being in his own mood and his own service and his own relationship, he's still able to appreciate the exalted position of the gopis and how it is most pleasing to Krishna. Very good. Janavamata says the quality of the sound sounds better, so thank you for that feedback. Rasa Stali, joining us from South Africa. How is that possible? Must be really, really late where you are. Thank you so much for being here. It says, Hare Krishna Prabhu and dear devotees. Hare Krishna Rasa Stali. That's amazing that you could join us, and we're missing you. But also understanding it's difficult for you to join us from with this time change that was imposed upon us. Janavamata's final comment here says, thank you for such an encouraging and clear answer. So helpful. Thank you all. Thank you, Janavamata. Thank you all for your presence today in this class. I'm so grateful for the opportunity to be with you and to continue to nourish and relish, to nourish our bhakti and to relish Srimad Bhagavatam through these discussions. So I wish you a peaceful heart. I wish you loving dealings with devotees. I wish you satisfaction in all your undertakings, fulfillment in your undertakings. I wish you a deepening of taste for hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, for attentively chanting the holy names, for serving the deity, for serving Sri Dham, the holy Dham, and for serving Vaishnavas at every opportunity. And I wish you that these practices will soften your heart and move you to share with compassion these treasures with others as well. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda ki jai, Nitai Gaur Premanandi, Hari Hari Bol.